SportsBeat is brought to you by Ken Garth. We hear you.
The Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love, JAYLON Johnson, Zach Moss, Terrell Burgess.
JAYLON Johnson all the way! Touchdown, Utah!
In trouble and sacked. Back at the 10, Lucky Fotu.
Daniels can't get out, and now he wasn't letting him go.
And he's the all-time leading rusher in Utah football history.
Now he's in trouble. Lucky Fotu brings him down, a loss of 12.
Thanks for watching SportsBeat. Tonight, we focus on the NFL draft. The NFL dream is now reality for several local college football stars.
Yeah, Jordan Love, he was a big story in round one, of course. Zach Moss is now following in the footsteps of his favorite running back, and 3 Ute defensive backs taken in the first 3 rounds. But first, we'll get you caught up on today's pick. It's the picks that happened today. It seems like the wait for a local player to come off the board on Thursday and Friday took forever, right? Well, today I was barely settling in for rounds 4 through 7 when it was there. The 5th former Ute taken in the 2020 NFL draft, just 8 picks into the 4th round.
Lucky Fotu now goes to the Arizona Cardinals.
There was Lucky Fotu taken by the Arizona Cardinals to plug up the defensive line, help out with their run stopping. The defense on the Cardinals was one of the worst in the NFL last season. Of course, Fotu coming in to help turn that around.
A very interesting selection is Bradley Anae out of Utah.
The wait was worth it for Bradley Anae, a 2nd or 3rd round talent, dropping all the way to the bottom of the 5th round. Anae, a consensus All-American and Utah's all-time sack leader. Why did he drop? Who knows? But Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy are happy to have the Hawaii native in Big D.
I hope the NFL is as good to you as it's been to me, and welcome for the Dallas Cowboys and all our fans. I'm glad you're here, buddy.
Yes, sir. I can't wait to get to Dallas. Thank you, sir.
Bradley, how you doing? Mike McCarthy.
Hey, Mike, I'm doing good. How are you?
It's a great start to a new beginning, young man, okay?
Yes, sir. I can't wait to work. Thank you very much.
How cool is that to get that call? Well, with the 197th overall pick, the Detroit Lions used a 6th round pick to take defensive tackle John Pennicini. Maybe overshadowed by some because he was the sidekick to Lucky Fotu on the Utes D-line, right? But with one of the Lions' top objectives in the draft to improve their run defense, they saw Pennicini as a solution to that problem. He had 15 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles in 22 starts at the U.
With the 26th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love, quarterback, Utah State.
Okay, this is fascinating because I believe Aaron Rodgers is the same age as Brett Favre was in 2005 when they selected Aaron Rodgers in the 1st round.
Interesting. The 1st round pick that caused the most buzz around the National Football League belongs to the Green Bay Packers. They moved up 4 spots to number 26 and selected their future quarterback, Utah State star Jordan Love. Why do the Packers love Jordan Love? Well, he's 6'4", 225 pounds, and he can make all the throws. When you watch the tape, it's easy to see why some compare him to Super Bowl champion Patrick Mahomes. He's got a long way to go, but the potential is there. Jordan is excited to play for a winning organization.
Me, I'm a playmaker. I'm always ready to make plays. Whatever's needed. I got a really good arm, I'd say. A lot of confidence in that, and just a lot of confidence in my ability to just make plays as a quarterback. And I'm gonna obviously come in here and work and just continue to get better and improve my game.
This is a perfect situation for Jordan. He won't have the pressure that comes with being a top 5 pick. He was drafted by a winner, a great organization, and a playoff team. And he won't be rushed onto the field. He can watch and learn from one of the best to ever play the position, future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers.
Being in this situation, I would say that this is a really good situation to be in. Not being thrown out there. I'm behind one of the great quarterbacks of the league. So just being able to sit behind him and learn, what's better than that? So I think it's going to be a really good situation for me.
So it's not often a Utah State Aggie gets selected in the first round. In fact, it's been 50 years since the last time it happened. You have to go back to 1970 when Phil Olsen was taken 4th overall by the Boston Patriots, not the New England Patriots, the Boston Patriots. That's how long ago that was. Jordan is one of only 4 Aggies ever taken in the first round. Olsen in 1970, MacArthur Lane, 13th overall in 1968, and one of the all-time greats, NFL Hall of Famer, Merlin Olsen, the 3rd overall pick in the 1962 draft.
With the first selection in the 2005 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Alex Smith, quarterback, Utah.
Yeah, do you remember that? Jordan Love is now the highest picked quarterback from the state of Utah since that 2005 draft when Utes quarterback Alex Smith was taken #1 overall. The last local quarterback taken anywhere in the draft? How about SUU's Brad Sorensen in 2013, 7th round by the Chargers? Well, Utes cornerback JAYLON Johnson was a first-round talent coming into this draft. The first round came, and it went, and Johnson still had not been selected. On day 2, there was no way Johnson would last that long before getting picked up.
The Chicago Bears select JAYLON Johnson, defensive back, Utah.
Yeah, the Bears had 2 second-round picks, and they needed a cornerback. Enter JAYLON Johnson, the 7th cornerback taken in the 2020 draft, but the first in the second round. Shortly after he was picked, he talked to the Chicago media. He's going to go to the Windy City with a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
No, I'll never forget about that. I mean, for me, this moment is big, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment. I mean, I only go through this once. So, I mean, the way I took it as they feel like there was so many other corners better than me that I couldn't add more value to that organization. So I'm going to do all I can to make teams regret the decision.
With the 85th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Julian BLACKMON, defensive back, Utah.
This hometown hero out of Layton High School is the 85th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. The Colts were impressed with his transition from corner to safety. Many thought he would get drafted later due to his knee injury, but the Colts didn't wait for their guy.
I feel like I have my own play style. That's why the Colts picked me. I feel like just because I can bring a lot of different things, like you said, whether it be on an island or guarding a tight end, I've done it all. So that's what helps me. But at the same time, I don't think that I have any particular player that, I follow.
The Los Angeles Rams select Terrell Burgess, defensive back, Utah.
Terrell Burgess patiently waited at Utah for an opportunity to start. It finally happened as a senior. He made the most of that opportunity, and now, look at that, he's following his NFL dreams. In his post-draft video call, he even said he can play any position in the LA secondary. But the best part of the day, no doubt, was when he got that call for the draft.
Hello, this is Terrell Burgess.
Terrell Burgess, this is Les Snead, GM of the Los Angeles Rams.
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I was wondering if you want to play some football for the LA Rams.
I would love to play some football for the LA Rams.
Right, we're jacked to have you.
Yes, sir. That would be great.
All right. Hey, our head coach is going to give you a call.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
You're awesome, bro. It worked.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Getting a little misty in here. Julian and Terrell, just the latest Utah safeties drafted. Marquise Blair was a second-round pick by the Seattle Seahawks in the 2019 draft and went on to make 32 tackles and force 2 fumbles as a rookie for the Seahawks last season.
Yeah, the Utes have cranked out the safeties. Of course, there was Marcus Williams. He was taken with the 10th pick of the second round in 2017 by the New Orleans Saints. Williams has 10 interceptions, a touchdown through the first 3 seasons of his NFL career.
All right, now to the offense. Zach Moss is the all-time leading rusher at the University of Utah, the only back in school history with 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. And when you consider the great backs that have played at the school, it's even more impressive. Now Zach hopes to make history in the NFL.
Buffalo Bills select Zach Moss, running back, Utah.
Zach Moss is joining a playoff team in the AFC East, taking one spot after Julian, 86th overall in the third round. Utah's all-time leading rusher will compete with Devin Singletary for the starting running back job with the Bills. Now that Tom Brady's moved on from the Patriots, the AFC East is wide open, and the Bills look poised to take the top spot, and Zach is excited to be a part of it.
Just a guy that was going to come in and work every single day, man, try to make this team better while, also trying to go out there and, just be the best player I can be. And that's the biggest thing, I just want the team to be, a good person and, trying to continue to be a good teammate.
This running back from Utah to get drafted, Joe Williams, was drafted in the 4th round in the 2017 draft by the San Francisco 49ers. His pro career didn't work out, but man, did he leave a legacy at Utah, rushing for 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns in just 9 games in 2016. Also set a single-game rushing record with 332 yards in the Rose Bowl against UCLA.
How about Devontae Booker? He parlayed his outstanding career at the U to a 4th-round selection in the 2016 NFL Draft. The Broncos took him with the 136th overall pick. He's currently an NFL free agent after finishing his 4th season in Denver this past fall.
The only thing that we do well is develop players. That's it.
Up next, college hoops. A big week for Mark Pope and the Cougars. And I'm not kidding when I say big. We'll explain next.
Well, BYU made its way into the national headlines this week when 7'3" center Matt Haarms chose BYU over the likes of Kentucky, Texas Tech, and Gonzaga as his school of choice to transfer to. Haarms was considered the top available transfer in the nation. He joins the Y after 3 seasons with Purdue, and he's eligible to play immediately.
And then we got a commitment, actually, and got the paperwork done yesterday on this Matt Haarms, who we're clearly really, really excited about. And he's I've got to know him more than he ever wanted to know any human being in the world over the last 2 weeks or so, give or take a few days. And he's an extraordinary young man. I can't wait. I almost feel this urgency for BYU fans to get to know him, because he's only going to be here for 1 year, and it's going to come and go so fast. I don't want people to miss out on him, because he's got so much depth and he's such a fascinating human being. And
how much of the conversation with Matt Haarms centered around getting him potentially to the NBA?
Everything about us is the only thing, the only thing that we do well is develop players. That's it. I haven't coached an NCAA tournament game. There's a million things we haven't done, but the one thing we can do is develop players. So when we recruit, we go to that immediately, right? And so that has to do with him becoming a great player, growing his game, having a chance to play at the next level. It's all synonymous, right? So our first or second conversation with Matt, we drilled him so hard on his analytic evaluation of his game. It was an approach to growing his game that he was unfamiliar with, and it was something that he was really excited about engaging in to the depth that we try and take it. And he learned things about his game in that first or second conversation he didn't know. And for a guy like Matt that is so hungry to grow his game, when you can show him things about his own game that he's unaware of, I think it's really exhilarating, right? And so all of that feeds into this idea of how badly he wants to not only grow his game in college, but also have a chance to be a pro. And that's something that we take really seriously. It's something that's really important to us. We feel like these kids put so much trust in us that if we don't help them grow, we're failing them, man. And we don't like to fail. And it's very personal to us. And I think Matt can feel that. And I think he got that, from watching our program and talking to our guys.
But well, there's a chance Jazz basketball could be back in business in a week. Yeah, we'll fill you in on that coming up right after this.
Well, I just saw
We have somewhat good news from the NBA and for Utah Jazz fans. The NBA is allowing teams to open their practice facilities to players in cities and states where local governments have eased stay-at-home orders. That's according to ESPN.
Yeah, facilities would be open to players on a voluntary basis for individual workouts. Larger group workouts would still be prohibited under that announcement. But what's not prohibited is taking a dive into our Jazz archives. On this day in Utah Jazz playoff history, Game 5 between the Jazz and Clippers. Gordon Hayward scored 27 points after missing most of Game 4 with a case of the rumblies and the tumblies there. And Joe Johnson, Rodney Hood combined for 30 points off the bench. Jazz won by 4. They took a 3-2 series lead after that.
Thanks a lot, Zupas. April 25th, 2010, the Jazz overcome a 39-point game by Carmelo Anthony to take a 3-1 series lead over the Denver Nuggets. Carlos Boozer led the Jazz with 31 points and 13 rebounds. Darren Williams, 24 points, 13 assists. C.J. Miles, 21 points. Wesley Matthews, 18, and Paul Millsap, 12 off the bench. The Jazz won at home 117-106, and of course they would go on to win the series in 6.
On this day in 1998, Game 2 between the Jazz and Rockets. The Jazz lost Game 1 on their home floor, but came back strong behind a 29-point, 10-rebound performance from Karl Malone. John Stockton scored 17 and dished out 10 assists. The Jazz won by 15 to even the series up. They would go on to take the best-of-5, 3-2.
Rockets uniforms were so bad. April 25th, 1991. Game 1 against the Phoenix Suns, the team that eliminated the Jazz in the playoffs in the first round the season before. A team that featured Kevin Johnson, Tom Chambers, Xavier McDaniel, Jeff Hornacek, and Dan Marley. The Jazz dominated this game on the road as the 5 seed against a 4 seed. The Mailman delivered 27 and 10. John Stockton, 18 points, 15 assists. The Brown Bear, Mike Brown, 9 points, 10 rebounds off the bench. Blue Edwards, 12 points. The Jazz crushed the Suns on the road by 39 points, 129-90. The Jazz would win the series in 4 games. They led by as much as 43 in that game. April 25th, 1982 at the Salt Palace between the Jazz and Warriors. Karl Malone with a little shuffle. Daryl Griffith drilled 4 of 5 3-point attempts and scored a game-high 25 points off the bench, but that was a problem. Ricky Green went down with a hamstring injury, and then this. Greg Ballard and Karl Malone go at it. They throw balls at each other, and here we go. This spilled into the crowd. It was an ugly scene. Even George Karl, the Warriors coach, got into it with the fan, as you see right there. Chris Mullin throwing haymakers. This was nuts. The Jazz took a 2-0 series lead with the win, but would lose 3 straight in the series.
This is Thurl Bailey, and welcome to Thurl Talk. This is really about the journey. You know, every Tuesday, I want to take this journey with you. I talk to people every day, and one of the most important things that I take away from those conversations a lot of times are stories. I hope that will really connect with what you'll be hearing from me. That's one great thing about stories. We can learn a lot from each other.
Oh, yeah. Since we're on the topic of Jazz greats from the past, we're now going to hear a conversation between 2 of the best, Thurl Bailey and Mark Eaton. They were teammates with the Jazz for 8 years and were a part of turning the Utah Jazz into the winner we celebrate today. Join them now for a conversation on the latest episode of the Thurl Talk podcast on KSLSports.com. Here's a sample.
I'm excited to have Mark on because Mark was the epitome of teamwork. Back when we played with the Jazz, things were starting to happen for the Utah Jazz, and Mark Eaton was a big part of that. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Mark Eaton on board. Mark Eaton, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Big T. How are you today?
I'm doing really good, man. I know you're staying safe and keeping your loved ones safe during this time. What have you been spending your time doing?
So yesterday I cleaned out the pasture with the tractor and just trying to keep our mental well-being together. I think that's the biggest challenge.
So, Mark, before we get into these 4 commitments, I want to kind of break that down for people to understand, one, what you were committed to back then, and then how someone else recognizing some particular potential in you early, in particular, Coach Tom Lubin. Am I correct?
Yeah, and Coach Tom was that coach in junior college who came around the corner one day and saw me working at this tire store and was like, "What the heck is this 7'4" guy doing working at this tire store?" And started in his persistence. And everybody that came into the tire store talked to me about basketball, right? I mean, you've experienced the same thing. And after a while, it gets really annoying. I'm like, no, I'm not a basketball player. I'm here working on the cars. You need your car fixed, let me know. And I'd get kind of, irritated with people because they just drive me crazy. I'm like, look, do you want me to look at your brakes or not? Like, you want me to fix your carburetor or not? But I think the persistence part really came later when I was at UCLA and I wasn't playing very much and sitting on the end of the bench and my junior college coach telling me, hey, look, if you're not going to play in the games, you're going to have to practice your games. You're still going to be the first guy to practice and the last one to leave. And taught me that through persistence and just continuing to work on my game and master certain parts of it, that I would have a chance to try out at the next level. And I couldn't see it at that point in time. I was really frustrated, and we all want to be a star when we go to college and play basketball, and I was anything but. But I did continue to work. I listened to them. And then when I finally got the opportunity to try out for the Jazz, I had done enough work where Frank Layden, the coach, was like, you're kind of rough, but you're 7'4". Hey, I'll take a chance on you. I'll give you a contract for 1 year, and let's see what happens. And it was through that, his commitment to me, I said, all right, I'm going to double down and work even harder because I want to stay in the NBA. I don't just want to be a one-and-done kind of guy. I want to get here and figure it out. And together we were able to, they made some changes to the team. They brought in some new players like Big T, Thurl Bailey, and together we made something out of it. But it was really through persistence all the way around, and it became kind of a building block, I think, of the culture of the Jazz going forward.
Bill Belichick gets a lot of credit for building the Patriots dynasty the last 2 decades. Thanks to the virtual draft, we learned that the secret to success has been Bill's dog. Did he make their first-round pick? It sure looks like it. The Patriots did draft a punter in this draft, so fans can blame the dog and not the hoodie, Sam.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, why not? Let the dogs and kids take over.
Gone to the dogs.